Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. We continue looking at the changing face of business, specifically in T&T. We are joined by none other than founder and managing director of the business manager, Darcelle Kajim-Roach. Welcome, Darcelle. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me, DK. I'm well today.
Great, and it feels as though this conversation has been one that's been a little while in the making. But let's start off
Yeah.
with an overview of the business manager, please. The biz manager TT.
As you mentioned, my business is called the Business Manager, and I mean, just as the name implies, I help people manage their businesses. But in essence, what I really do is, I support small businesses by connecting them with resources that will help them work towards their success. And it's really because I have a passion, for lack of it being a cliche word, but I really do enjoy, helping develop these small business ecosystem and just connecting people with the tools that they need to really move forward and also to build this community of trust between businesses as well as between businesses and their customers, because that's the only way it will flourish and do better
But
in
when you
my eyes
speak,
at least.
thanks much. But when you speak about businesses or specifically small businesses, is it that those businesses are trying to get resources from the same areas? What are some of those things that go into doing what you do?
From the 2 years that I've been doing this, I realized there's a lot of gaps for what people understand small businesses require or how it operates or what is expected of them. Many times they don't know that, they need to have a business bank account to separate personal funds from, their business funds. And that tends to cause a lot of issues, with commingling and just proper understanding of where their business is financially. I also help them with things like developing a business plan. A lot of time they tend to feel stuck. They don't know how to move forward with their business. So, just trying to help them nudge some of those things forward and put all of the pieces together is where I really try to, bridge that gap for people to understand you're supposed to have all of these pieces together. And that's why you're probably feeling stuck.
And I like the fact that you talk about putting those pieces together and bridging that gap. And I'll also
Yeah.
say that I just turned your notifications on to highlight, so I see them a little more when they pop up because it's the things that you say, it makes sense, but it's not
Yeah.
always the things that you do first. But if someone has an
Yeah.
idea or they have a business, what are some of those steps in accessing your services, engaging you, and saying, "Help me to become my best self"?
Well, the first thing most people tend to do is they would send me a DM saying, help, I don't know where to start. But ideally, I do prefer people send an email. I do have a website where there's a contact form, and I try to, pull some of that info out of them where, you tell me a little bit about your business, tell me what your goals are, some of your pain points, some of the issues you might be experiencing. And let's start from there. Usually my consults will start with a conversation around that, where they just let me know, just be open and honest. I tend to be pretty casual, just to get business owners to open up a little bit more and just be honest about what it is that you're experiencing so I can help you move forward. And usually, once you send an email, we chat, I send a quote, and you decide, if you want to take it from there or not. And, we move forward from there. But
And I,
otherwise, you can just, engage with my social media, see if there's any tips or advice that, will resonate with you. If it is that you're having issues in a particular area, if you didn't know about taxes, if you didn't know what the importance is of understanding who your customer is, little things like that, how to use social media to your benefit. Um, yeah, I try to use my platform to provide resources so people can at least know where to start.
Definitely. So, and one of those things that actually made me change my notifications was you pointing individuals in the way of certain platforms or facilities that could help with their pillars of business. But
Yeah.
and you spoke about honesty, so I want to get a little honest take from you, because this whole look at businesses and the state of business in Trinidad and Tobago, it was sparked by a tweet that I saw of a possible fallout in terms of this mass return to work. So what are your thoughts on the possible pros and cons of this mass return to work in a physical environment?
Well, I come also from a bit of a managerial standpoint, so I understand why some business owners may feel the need to see physical bodies in a seat because, I mean, let's be real, Trinidadians, well, Trinbagonians, I should say, sometimes we're our own enemy, and, if you put somebody in a position where they can, try to cheat the system, so to speak, they're going to do it, so I understand why. But that's why you have things like KPIs that can help you manage your staff, make sure that the job spec is communicated to the persons correctly and clearly. So if ever they fall short, you have a means to, address it with them to tell them, listen, you're not performing. I'm giving you the opportunity to work remotely, but we're not seeing the output that is expected. You have all of the tools that you need. And that's where I think, business owners or companies at large should look at focusing their efforts because we're in a time now that people are valuing quality of life. And let's be real, the commute is often too long to justify the output. For some people, they may come to work feeling tired or they get home very tired. Some have family life they have to attend to. And it's now on the forefront for a lot of people to value quality of life first and foremost, given what we've all experienced in the past 2 years, And I think it's worth looking at for companies to find that way in which they can at least create some sort of a hybrid or something that can give a little to your employees to perform better. Because ultimately, what we all want is higher productivity and efficient output and that type of thing. And you have to bridge the two some way, in my opinion.
Mrs. Kajim-Roach, if I tell you a secret, if you had a collection plate and pass it wrong, it wouldn't just be jangling, I think there would have been a lot of something in it there because you preach a whole sermon there. But and in keeping it biblical, you think sometimes that is a matter of Paul paying for all in terms of people not meeting those KPIs, but there hasn't been that conversation and that methodology to get the best out of both worlds?
Yeah, yeah. I do think some organizations they need to kind of take that step back first and really understand the job that is required. Maybe it may mean eliminating some steps that are no longer relevant or that might be keeping back the progress and you still get the output. So it takes a lot on both sides. Employees need to commit and deliver good work. People sometimes need to own up to, their shortcomings. If the role is not something that they enjoy, then I strongly recommend you pursue something else to find a job that you can enjoy, that you can commit to, that you can deliver, because ultimately that's what the employer is trying or is expecting of you. So you have to, it takes you two hands to clap.
That gestalt effect is something that is very real. And we continue speaking to those points when we return. We're speaking with the founder and managing director of the business manager, Mrs. Darcelle Kajim-Roach. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We're looking at the changing face of business in Trinidad and Tobago. We're doing so with the founder and managing director of the business manager, Darcelle Kajim-Roach. And Darcelle, question, what kind of interactions have you had with individuals during the pandemic? Is it that you have more people turning to businesses, to small businesses? We know pivot is a thing now and is a word that's been used. What's your experience with people trying to engage you on after that move?
Well, first and foremost, I was one of the many people that pivoted during the pandemic, so I'll start there. But yes, it definitely has been quite a number of people. I mean, I don't have the actual stats, but somewhere I read that, 2021 probably saw the most number of businesses being registered at Ministry of Legal Affairs. And somebody can quote me or fact check that. But I wouldn't be surprised by that because, of course, people would have been met with whether they faced reduced salaries, being let off from their jobs, etc., and they were forced to really take a skill that they have or find some sort of product that they sourced online and try to resell it. So people had no choice, but to find another means of income to earn for their family, earn for themselves, pay your bills, your loans, whatever you have. And for the most part, I think many of the people that would have reached out to me just needed guidance to just better understand what is expected of them, what it really takes to register the business. Now that it's registered, what's the next step? What is expected on an annual basis? What are their obligations? How do you file taxes? But for the most part, it would have really been help with just running and operating a business. What do they need to know? Just guidance on figuring out that business plan to move their customers towards that business of theirs to purchase from them, and make themselves more aware on the landscape. That's really where a lot of people have been looking for information, just to know how to make their business more successful.
All right, and thank you for that. And actually go even further because yes, you put yourself in that bracket of, in terms of like that timeline. And where I actually first heard of you and listened to some of those jewels that you were sharing, it was on a Twitter space, I believe. And some of the advice that you had, I want you to share it now in terms of like those general things that people most ask for, basically expanding on what you just did for people who would have pivoted during the pandemic. But like you said a little earlier before the break, because of their passion, they realized what I'm doing now, it makes more sense than what I was doing. I get more fulfillment, I have less commuting. But so as opposed to just staying afloat, being able to eat, they want to formalize their business and want to do stuff the right way. What are the things that you tell them, or is there a checklist in terms of the most generic items that you would share with them?
Well, I'm working on an actual checklist to help because that's actually one thing that I realize a lot of people don't know where to start. It really has been difficult to generalize because everyone's situation or the type of product or service that they're looking to sell is different. So that really kind of determines what the first, second, and third step may be for them. But I always encourage people, regardless of what stage you're at, whether you're thinking about the business idea or you've already launched it and you're in operation, a great starting point is always with a business plan, right? And I want to break that misconception that a business plan is just this lengthy, boring document that you just throw in a drawer when you're done. No, this is supposed to be like your blueprint. It's like your Bible that tells you this is everything that you need to know about your business idea and how you're going to make it successful. So always start with a business plan. You can reach out to me if you need help with it. But that's always going to be a first step. Next, you just look at registering your business. You decide on whether or not you want to be a sole trader or an LLC. There's pros and cons to both sides. You can always check my page for more advice on what will work best for you. And then the next step would generally be make sure you have a bookkeeping system in place because that's where most people tend to fall down. You really have no idea how much your business is making financially, and you might be earning a lot and you think you're making a lot, but you're missing out on overhead costs to run your business. You might forget to pay yourself, and then the true position of your business might really be at a loss and you just weren't aware. So a bookkeeping system is really one of the most critical things that I believe many businesses, whether they start off or not, will help them really see success and get a true understanding on how to make decisions. Do I need to cut back on expenses? Do I need to push more in sales? Like that real-time understanding helps so much. It helped for me, just understanding where my figures were and like, okay, I thought I was making more this month, but I really am not hitting the target that I had. Let's try to push more marketing in this area for the next month. And that's what business owners need to get in the habit of regularly checking on the performance of your business, not just focusing on advertising on social and trying to get a sale, because sometimes you may not have the right information to make a decision on what you're marketing or who you're marketing to. And all of these things contribute and come together to really help make your business more successful.
You're just dropping some heavy, heavy bombs there. And in addition to that, you're also dropping breadcrumbs and saying that people can go to your pages, and we're sharing the information of what those pages are. But when we started the
Yeah.
conversation, Darcelle, you said that you like to work with small businesses. So what is that
Mhm.
pull towards working with those small businesses? And what's your view on the importance of SMEs in TNT?
Well, to be honest, DK, what I have noticed is people benefit from having this additional source of income, obviously, because when you explore what the labor options are, sometimes it may not meet the needs of people on their cost of living and whatever the case may be, right? So I definitely think it has its benefits, whether it be to earn extra income to cover the lifestyle that you want, whether it be, the opportunity to pursue a passion and feel it out and see if this is something that you really can pursue for a lifetime. Is this something that you want to create as your legacy? I always admire the story of, Pennywise Cosmetics, because they would have started as, these people carrying these products in a suitcase from storefront to storefront and peddling it themselves as an individual, and look at where they are today. So you really never know what the future holds for a small business owner if they really stick the course, if they pursue, what their vision is for themselves, it may be for their legacy, their children, their family, something that you want to contribute to society. It starts with the small business. And every bigger business that has existed in Trinidad and Tobago was small at one point. They never started big, So think about that. Whatever it is that you're putting out the effort to commit yourself to a business, it's not just to make a dollar tomorrow. It is what your potential can be 5 years, 10 years down the line. So spend your time, make it worthwhile, and take it seriously. If you really want to get into owning a business, you have to dedicate the time to really make it, flourish.
And I'm listening to you, and I'm seeing down the line this business that started off as a sole trader, a small business, and then they morphed into something so much more. They evolved, and they said the business manager had a hand in this. But in the last minute that we had, asking you to put on your both hats and give us some of those factors that we need for that hybrid model of physical and remote work to happen in the best possible way. Thanks.
Well, the first thing is very reliable internet. That's the most critical of it all. One of the other tools I would encourage people is to get familiar and comfortable with using technology. I think there's so many tools and apps and websites that can help people just simplify their processes that will make life so much easier. And sometimes what they often face with is they see things as so challenging, like especially bookkeeping. That's one of the pain points that most business owners complain about. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to document. They're afraid of hiring an accountant to be too expensive. So something as simple as an app that can document, this is how much you spend today, this is who you paid it to, this is the amount. Like just something as simple as that goes into a platform, and they put out all of that information for you at the end of the month. So technology really helps to connect that remote and physical space where these tools are here to help you, and grow and do better. So that's how I see it. And people have to also, bring down a little bit of the standard of what is expected when it comes to interfacing with people in a work environment. So it doesn't always have to be a jacket and a tie, let people be comfortable with who they are. No shame, Dike. But let people be comfortable to do what they really are great at, and it doesn't have to be a particular wardrobe. Just get them comfortable with a clean, presentable image, but it doesn't always have to be corporate work attire to sit and do work.
Thank you so much
I
for
think
that.
that
It's almost as though a matter of you want more wardrobe or you want the service. But we want to thank you so much for your time, Darcelle Kajim-Roach, founder and managing director of the Business Manager. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, we want to thank you for tuning in. This has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.